Hey guys, it's Will. Just going to talk about the markets and some other topics as usual. So I'll just get right into it. So I'm looking at the pre-market here, 8 a.m. On Wednesday, December 22nd, and there's been a bit of a gain for the last couple of days after a big drop. So the question is, what should you do? And so what I do is I use the charts, and as you've been watching, and there's different ways you can look at this, like if, depending on what indicators and rules you have. So I just point out a bunch of things that you could potentially use for your rules. And so in this case, you have a downtrend established. If we draw a line, we've got lower highs. We haven't really crossed over that. We're below the 50-day. We've got this red volatility stop, so the price is below the red volatility stop. But even when it's above here in the green, there's resistance. It bounced off these moving averages. And confirmation of this is the momentum hasn't quite crossed yet. And you can use the zero line. Instead of just waiting for a cross, you can say, I want it to be above zero. And that gives you a higher momentum state. So you're above zero here. But if you drew a line from the tops of here, it basically didn't cross over there. So, but you're never going to be perfect 100% of the time. But if you do decide to buy right early on with the cross, then you would sell at the top, not at the top, but as it pulls back around there. So right now, even with the recovery, a couple of days of uptrends, it's not just over, but jump back in my opinion. So for uptrends, you generally want to see higher lows. So you kind of have a double bottom here, but you need to see it up and then pull back and then establish a higher low. So this would have been up and then pull back and then another higher low might have been a better indication. Sometimes they just go straight up from wherever they are, so you don't get that chance. But let's go to the next one. So Dow Jones, it was above, then we just broke down, and there's been a bit of a recovery. So a lot of times you have this really volatile market phase where you get big ups and downs, and it's not a great time to trade per se, but below the 50 here with the red volatility stops, I wouldn't be getting in. This is a really flat momentum here. But if you start to get back up above and the momentum goes back up, that would be probably a good entry point. S&P, you're above the 50, but you've got this red volatility stop. You did have a bit of a recovery here, and the momentum is below, hasn't crossed over. So I wouldn't probably get right now. I just don't like the looks of all this stuff. And then finally, the Nasdaq, same thing. Momentum kind of flat down below the moving average and the red volatility stops. There is a bit of a recovery, but it's not quite there yet. So this is not great for the overall indices. If we look at sectors, one thing we can do, I turn on a scan here. So we want to be above the volatility stop, so green, and we want upward momentum, and it's above zero, or the slope. What did I say here? Yeah, the slope is above zero. So these scans are nice if you want to get TC2000, which is what I'm using. Check out the link in the description below, and you can get $25 off the purchase. If you end up purchasing a monthly plan, I've got the gold plan and US real-time data. And so these scans are really nice. You can have different ones. I have different tabs here, and you can have different scans. And I've also got different tabs down here with different types of charts. So Heiken Ashi, I've got naked chart, which is like no no indicators, and other things. So you can easily flip between views just to check things out. So one earlier entry point possibility is like silver, the miners. You can see it's flipped from red to green. The 3 exponential moving averages above the 8, and the momentum's crossed over. There is some obviously resistance in the back. You've got the 50 here. You're below the 0 point, but you have crossed over. So at this particular recent previous past crossover, it did break right up through the 50 and then pull back like that. So that's a potential entry for silver. Gold is similar, but this one is really close to the 50, but there is a crossover here as well. It's a little bit flat, but so there's nothing great right now. The only other thing I wanted to mention was in TC2000, there's these charts that start T2, so T2, T2100, T2101, and they show you some market charts like overall advanced decline, the overall breadth, stocks above the 200, stuff like that. And you can scroll down. There's NASDAQ, advanced decline, new high-low ratio, stuff like that. So you could look at something like 2107. If you pull back here, you'll see that the stocks above the 200 have been moving down quite a bit. So ever since March 2020, when things recovered really fast, we were above, and then we started to go down. So one of the reasons the market was doing fairly well was it was being held up by a few stocks like Amazon, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and stuff like that, like the FANG type stocks, especially for NASDAQ and S&P. So it's just a negative indicator. You can just check this out to see. We started to see improvement here, but it didn't sustain itself. So, it's not a great sign when more and more stocks are below the 200. So, because you're depending on those few stocks to keep everything going, and if they start to go down, then everything. But if you do get a recovery, a lot of these stocks will have to, we'll have a lot of the stocks in the indices will have room to go up again, but so that's just one thing. You just type T2 and then it pops up here. And so any other symbol, if you're looking at a chart and you just decide to type F, B, or whatever, and then you can click on it. So it's just a quick way to get to a chart if you know the ticker. That's all I wanted to say. It's pretty much. Even though there's been a bit of a couple of positive days, I just don't like the market the way it is right now in terms of the charts. So I'd be waiting a bit more to see what happens. So if you want to get TC2000, check out the link below in the description. And there's other links in there for TradingView as well that I use for crypto and stuff. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video.